So welcome to today's show. I have with me Chad Stott, who is the Director of Rentals at Scootaround, and we're going to discuss how you can rent a scooter and benefit from their services. So Chad, let me ask this question first. How long have you been in the mobility industry, and in your capacity as the Director of Rentals at Scootaround, how do you support individuals with mobility needs?
Well, Scootaround has been around mobility devices to disabled or travelers with a limited mobility since 1997. I myself have been with the company since 2009. We try to make it a very easy process, very few steps. You have the option of finding us online, booking a rental through our online booking system, or calling our solution center, and one of our excellent customer service representatives will help you find the device that you need for your travels wherever you're going, whether it be somewhere on a land-based rental for a vacation or business travel, or going on a cruise anywhere in the world.
Okay. And I know Scootaround started its journey as a mobility rental company more than 20 years ago. So what's the story there, and how did it all begin?
You know what? I really like our story. That makes part of working for Scootaround is very meaningful. In 1997, the founder of the company, her name is Lee Mahar, she was planning a very big family trip off to Hawaii and wanted to include every single family member, and that included her father, Clarence Vincent, who had 10 years prior, in 1987, had suffered a stroke, giving him a partial paralysis on one side of his body. Mr. Vincent became very, very accustomed to using a mobility device in that 10 years and really enjoyed his freedom and the independence. How to bring that mobility scooter to Hawaii with them from Canada, they finding a lot of challenges. It was becoming progressively more difficult. Shipping the device there was challenging. You know, they would have to depart from the device and he would have to depend on somebody else for wheelchair push. And it was very costly at the same time. This is 1997, right? So they thought ahead and called the hotel that they were staying at, only to discover that the hotel only had manual wheelchairs for use for customers. So through the help of the hotel, they were able to get the yellow pages and find a local company in Hawaii that sold the devices but did not rent mobility scooters. Being as innovative and forward thinking as she was, she made an arrangement with the company to have a short-term rental, or they would purchase the device and then return the device for a restocking fee. Once the family had Hawaii and the device was there for them, that's when the idea came to them that there's going to be other people just like their father, Mr. Vincent, that are going to need a device everywhere they go. They don't want to necessarily have to depend on a family member to push them around in a wheelchair when these people are very used to using a mobility device on their own. So that's where the idea came to them. And upon returning from the vacation, after a very successful vacation where he was granted his independence by using his device and didn't have to rely on anybody else, that's when the idea came to them. And they literally had the idea, you know, they knew that people like Dad, Mr. Vincent, would want to scoot around on their own. So that's where the company name came from. Registered the domain name, got the 800 number, and literally started working off of a pager, letting people find their way to this very obscure 1997 version of a website, taking the kids to swimming lessons, and she would get a request for, you name the city. It was just a company that just sort of found its own natural setting. The customers found it. And she would run to the library, open up the microfiche yellow pages for Charlotte, North Carolina, to Phoenix, Arizona, to anywhere in between. And she would call local companies and set up rentals for customers, knowing that people out there were looking for a service just like this. Fast forward 24 years now, and we service hundreds of thousands of people across the world. We operate multiple contact centers, facilitating customized rentals for people just like Mr. Vincent in 1997. We do that every single day. And when you have a reason why like that for your company, it becomes a very, very meaningful, easy to do your job and easy to enjoy when the service you know is going back to the original customer like that. Every single person is the same.
That's an amazing story. Okay, so I noticed on your website you have over 2,500 locations you serve across North America. That is a massive operation. So what kind of equipment do you offer, and where can the equipment be rented?
So that big operation and all those locations, that's after 24 years of developing a network of providers. And we also have our own locations. We offer a variety of mobility devices for all sorts of customers. We do an evaluation every time somebody calls through. We offer multiple devices on our website, depending on individual users, how they're going to use it, the types of people that are going to use it. We follow a qualifying process of height, weight, use, and who's going to be using it, what the length of time you're going to be using it, and where. And so there's, in every location, there's probably a dozen or so different types of devices that we can offer. Of course, the most popular would be the mobility scooters and the power chairs and the wheelchairs. Familiar devices to people. If you own your own device, we always recommend leaving it at home, contacting us, and having that waiting for you at your point of destination, so that you don't have to worry about any damages to your own device. Really take care of all of that for you. Just leave it at the bell desk or right there in your stateroom on the cruise or at the Airbnb. We make those arrangements. We do a meet and greet where we meet with the customers, demonstrate how to use the device, and so they can easily use that worry-free. And at the end of their vacation or their business trip, leave it where you found it, and we'll pick it up, and you can safely travel home back to your own device.
Okay, so that's very nice. So now we know travel's been one of the worst hit industries during COVID, and more specifically the cruise segment. So how do you see the travel resumption happening, and how is Scootaround preparing to serve cruise travelers?
Well, absolutely. 2020 was a devastating year for the leisure travel industry. For a company that services leisure travel, it was a very, very challenging time for us. But we made the commitment to keep our phone lines open and keep our operators ready, although we did have to scale back quite dramatically. We have found in the last about 3 to 4 weeks that through the very, very quick programs of vaccination and just the general, I think, positive attitude in America, travel is coming back with a vengeance. We are finding ourselves scaling back up again at a very high rate, very exciting for us. There's, I think, a new attitude, and people are preparing to get out there in sort of an altered world where we've learned a lot about social distancing and all of that. And we work very closely with the cruise lines. We're partnered with Norwegian Cruise Lines and Carnival Cruise Lines. We have a very continuous conversation with our partners there on how we're going to continue to rent those devices. They're working through a plan. We're part of that plan where we will soon be able to deliver the devices as we were. We've preloaded a lot of equipment with Norwegian Cruise Lines as they begin to set sail through the Caribbean. We're working very closely with them. We have equipment on those ships, and we're ready to start the rental process once again, where people can, board those ships with those devices and comfortably move about on those ships. We're gearing up to be ready for sailing out of the American ports. We watch very closely with the CDC, the language coming out of there, working very closely with our cruise partners, and the resumption plan, developing our team, adapting to the new protocols and procedures that the cruise lines and the CDC are going to require from us, and giving everybody that opportunity to go back out there cruising and using our devices in a very, very safe, sanitized, clean manner.
Okay, yeah, I would think that, I'm gonna go off script just a little bit here, but I would think that all of a sudden having the cruise ports outside the US is probably going to add to some of your logistical challenges. I know they're sailing out of Bermuda, out of
Montego Bay,
Bahamas,
Jamaica,
on the Royal Caribbean, also in Punta Cana and the Dominican Republic. So these are places that in the past were not cruise ports that are now cruise ports. So I gotta say that's probably making things a little interesting. Yeah.
Yes, that's why having the partners with, especially with Norwegian and Carnival, having the equipment preloaded. We have an awesome team member in Fort Lauderdale who keeps in touch with all of those cruise lines, and whatever they need, we're there. We have a lot of equipment. As you can imagine, you probably have been watching very closely. Those cruise ships are now parked. There was never a plan to have 200 or 300 docked cruise ships. It was always on a rotation. We never had the plan to have thousands of devices sitting in our warehouses.
Yeah.
We're in the same place, and if we can rent 10 of them, we'll do it.
It's interesting because I've been doing this travel videos this is my 3rd year now. But I had not been a travel agent, and I decided that I might as well be a travel agent because there were mostly because I get access to ships and do things as a travel agent that you can't do until you get really scale up in the media influencer world, and then you can start to get some ability to get on and film and stuff. And I like to show people what life is like on board the ships, in the destinations.
That's cool.
And so I started being a travel agent in January last year.
Oh, okay. Right before it hit.
Before, it was a mixed bag because I saw my peers in the agency world spending their lives on hold trying to fix their customers' vacations for them. And so I was glad I didn't have a lot that I had to fix. But on the other side of the coin, it was obviously a bad time to get started. So, such is life. Okay, so let me go to this note. Since travel is picking up, and I talked to one of the people at your company, and I'm working on trying to set up an international rental in Jamaica. Because I am actually going to be on the Norwegian Joy on the September 7th sailing, I think it is. So I have a couple of questions about this, and this might be typical for other people, because I want to do some things before and after my cruise. But in this case, it might be that I don't need the chair for the whole time. In my case, I'm going to wind up in Jamaica with a wheelchair because my wife uses her wheelchair for traveling and sitting. I want to take the scooter on the cruise. So would you have a place where if somebody did come in with a wheelchair that you could take that and store it? Or would they need to make arrangements separately for that?
We can always make reservations. What we do is we can customize the rental for you. If you don't want to travel with your own device, I would recommend we could rent it to you, have it delivered to your home, and you can travel with that device. If there's any missteps along the way, you can also contact Scootaround, and we can have that device swapped out on your destination on your way down to Montego Bay in Jamaica. We do have devices on board the Norwegian Joy, which is probably very accommodating for you. We could make reservations and have that waiting for you on the ship, make arrangements with the housekeeping staff to have that in your stateroom once you get there. We also would have partners in Jamaica that we could arrange to have that device if you're going to be doing some touring in Jamaica. I would recommend, getting in touch with us, making arrangements to bring a device with you right from home. And that way you have something with you of every step of the journey.
Okay.
You have for you, and we can have one on the ship.
Okay, yeah, and my concern was, and the reason I was thinking about bringing my wife's wheelchair was just because it's easier in some countries to get transport where you can fold the wheelchair up and put it out of the way, whereas finding scooter accessible transportation can become a huge challenge.
Very challenging. Yes, we could definitely rent a manual wheelchair, a easily folding manual wheelchair, but once you get on that ship, we can have that scooter waiting for you so that you're not having to rely on it. She can have her own independence and travel freely about the cruise ship. Joy is a big ship, so you want to be able to get around on the whole ship on your own. So we have those devices on board that that we could facilitate a rental right there for you.
Okay, yeah, I'll work that out with you guys. I'm looking forward to that, and it's funny because my wife, we're fine with the wheelchair, and we normally just use that. But for the people that watch, I want them to be able to see how the process of using a scooter on board the ship works, and to be able for them to understand before they get on a ship what that might feel like, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, the next question I have is that individuals with mobility needs usually fall in the 60+ category, and not all of them would be as tech savvy as a young millennial or a Gen Z, for instance. So how do you make the booking process quick and hassle-free for seniors?
20-some years, we've been operating a solution center, that's what we call it, where our agents are trained and very accommodating to any demographic that calls through. Of course, make special arrangements for everybody. We make it as easy as possible. It's a very easy process. We provide user guides that shows everybody how to use those devices once they receive their device. The customers in advance, the user guide, so that they can see how to use the device. Our solution center agents are trained to deal with all sorts of questions. We make it as easy as possible. We deal with hundreds of thousands of travelers a year, and we've gotten pretty good at making it a very, very easy process. Everybody's very comfortable making those reservations.
Okay. And so I know you work directly with the consumers. I'm assuming you probably work with the travel agent community as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, very good. So for those of you that appreciate the convenience of a travel agent, you can talk to your travel agent and they can help you get everything set up. I have to put a shameless travel agent plug in. Not just me, but whoever you work with as a travel agent. I encourage you to use them to handle all of these kinds of needs because they'll understand the questions that you might need to have answers for. So we'll put that plug in for travel agents.
Yeah. We have an excellent, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but we have an excellent travel agent program. We love working with travel agents. We have seminars with travel agents regularly where we show, especially cruise specialty travel agents, how to utilize our services, how they can book online or even contact our call center on behalf of their clients. And we make it very easy. If you want to use your travel agent, we highly encourage it. A lot of them are very well trained to, and they know a lot about our services and can make it very easy.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And so you can pretty much buy anything from an airplane to a fidget spinner online these days. Do you have an e-commerce portal where customers can purchase mobility devices?
Absolutely. Well, if you visit scootaround.com, you can see right there, we have a variety of devices that we have for sale. Services over the years, we figured out the best devices for everyone to use, but we have sales agents that can help you figure out exactly which device is specific to your needs. We have a variety of devices there now that our agents can fit into your life exactly how you need it to fit there. So if you visit scootaround.com, you can rent from us, but we're also very much into selling those devices. After your trip, if you've been on your cruise and you really like the device, give us a call and we can make arrangements then too.
Okay. Well, in my case, my wife has a mobility scooter. We just typically, and again, you mentioned a key factor of it is we don't like to travel with it because then you got to do some disassembly before they can put it in the airplane, and then they got to put it back together. And we find, unfortunately, my wife has some limited mobility. She can walk. But in general, she needs a walker when she walks. And she can't sit upright for long periods of time. So the wheelchair that we use for her has a back that reclines so she can get off of her tailbone. She's some back injuries or some back surgeries, I guess would be a better description. But anyway, the end result is that we have the wheelchair and we don't travel with the scooter. We use the scooter here locally or if we're driving somewhere because I can put it on the back of the car. But to fly with it is not nearly as convenient as flying with a wheelchair.
Right.
And I think probably a lot of people wind up in that situation where you're fine with it. Even people that are fine with a walker in most places around town and when they travel, when you get on a cruise ship and you have a long ways to go, the advantage of having a rental scooter is huge. The other thing that I think is hugely valuable is that when you get ashore, because my wife and I didn't think about Scootaround, and I should have, we canceled a Baltic Capitals cruise because of the challenge with cobblestone streets pushing a wheelchair.
Yes.
And so even if you have somebody that normally travels in a wheelchair, there could very easily be times when it would be better to rent a power device. When you got long distances, a good example, I was talking to a young lady that went to Santorini and she's in a wheelchair full time and she has a manual chair and she was basically wheeling herself or somebody was pushing her up and down the hills in Santorini. And again, Santorini is not a wheelchair friendly device.
No.
Much more mobility. If you had a mobility, power device, it would be much more friendly. Mm-hmm. And so for those that are listening today, I think that's one of the things I would encourage you to consider is that if you normally travel in a wheelchair, but you're going somewhere the terrain might be less friendly, I guess is a good way of saying it, the streets or whatever it is, that you might think about the option of doing a mobility device rental for that destination. Just because I think that might be a better option than packing and flying yours. And I think that it's also a great option to make life simple. Okay, so let me ask this question. There are so many people across the world who want to travel and life in general, they want it to be more accessible. Is Scootaround doing any expansion or planning on expanding where they serve?
Yes, absolutely. For many years, we focused on the North American traveler. in North America. With our cruise business, that gave us the opportunity to look at places like Barcelona, Civitavecchia in Rome, Southampton, Amsterdam, and Asia Pacific area. With the cruise industry has given us an opportunity to expand that business. A lot of our partners are expecting us to be there, and we are definitely looking at expanding all over Europe and the Asia Pacific as well. This is like Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, places where American travelers, I think, are going to find themselves going more and more now that the travel industry and things are going to change. There'll be more opportunities for more international travel. So yes, we absolutely are looking to expand, beginning in Europe. A lot of those areas that's definitely on our radar.
Okay, well, that's very nice. And you mentioned that you pre-position scooters on NCL ships. Are there any other lines that you do that with?
We're partnered with Carnival Cruise Lines. If you call in advance and you give us the opportunity with cruise lines like Royal Caribbean or Princess, we can attempt to make accommodations in advance with those other cruise lines. If you're booked on the cruise, they will be very accommodating. The cruise lines very much like their passengers and want to accommodate them. We are partnered with Norwegian Cruise Lines, where we do have equipment on those ships for customers on those ships to rent, not necessarily just off ship and deliver to the ship, but they're right there on board. So once you're on board and you realize that you might need a mobility device, we have those on the Norwegian cruise ships. But in advance, we can make arrangements to have those preloaded for other destinations if you're headed out there with all of the cruise lines.
Okay, yeah, because what triggered the question was, so if somebody was going like on a Norwegian cruise lines, if they were going to a place that you might not normally have an office, they might have some available on the ship.
Yes.
So that's the very handy.
Yeah.
Now,
Norwegian's been an excellent partner. They're very much accommodating with their passengers and recognizing that those onboard equipment is very important for those people that might not necessarily realize that they needed a device before they got there, and they're there. Even for those offshore excursions, if you find yourself in Victoria and maybe there was an injury or you didn't realize that Bouchard Gardens was going to be that challenging to traverse, the device is there for you on the ship to use anywhere you go or anywhere the Norwegian ship is going to take you.
oh, well, that's very nice. That's funny because I cruise NCL a lot, and they're probably right now the cruise line that I've cruised the most. And that was something I didn't know. I knew that you could get them delivered to your cabin. I just didn't realize that they actually had the one available on the ship. So and that's interesting because I have some conversations coming up with Norwegian, and I will talk about that because I think that's nothing that's ever been mentioned. I don't remember ever seeing it shared anywhere. That if something came up mid-cruise where you needed a mobility device, the potential is they would have one available on the ship for you to rent. So like I said, a good example is injury. It's very easy to wind up with an injury where walking becomes excruciating. And it's really critical because if you spent the money to go somewhere like Alaska or Europe or anywhere, you don't want to get stuck on the ship. You want to be able to get off. And so the fact that you can rent a device on board to solve your transportation problems till you get back home, that is huge. So you have educated me again, and that's one of the things I love about the guests that I have is I walk away smarter.
Good.
So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, well, so for everybody that's watching, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I love it when people do. I try to provide good information, both from sharing our journeys and also interviewing people like Chad, who has been so helpful today. And we'll see everybody next time.